I talked about Carl Jung and Daisetz Suzuki, that they had the encounter, and after that, I believe, when Daisetz published a book called Introduction to Zen, I believe, the foreword was from Carl Jung, and it's 20 pages long, amazing. And the whole text is 110 pages or something like that. And I reread it. I've seen that. I've read it years ago, but for this occasion, because I got to know more about Carl Jung. And I appreciate what he has done. But my take is that when it comes to Zen, you can talk about it, but at the end, it's the action and how we deal with the situation in life. And the central message of Zen may be captured. I've been using the word samadhi, calm and quiet mind. But what it refers to is also the things that I've been talking about, which is no mind and no self. In Japanese, no mind is mushin, mushin. Mu is nothing, and shin is mind, no mind. And muga, no self, is muga. No, mu, or nothing is mu. Muga, ga is self. If you have no mind, it automatically translates into no self. So basically, it goes back to samadhi, which is originated from India, from the Buddha, and perhaps before that. And there are lots of ways to get to that as the basic state of being, which is to connect to the heart, is the way I explain it. And the heart may represent the way of nature that we came with when we are born because of the way of nature, the way of the universe. And we are alive because of that. So that's our root. And that root is prevailing, manifesting in many ways, including us to be deluded or confused or get lost and know where to go. All that kind of stuff happens. But that is due to the fact that we use words and logic. That's what I've been talking about. And the better way may be to say abuse the word and logic. Because the words and logic are valuable for us to live well, and that's how we developed our evolutionary process of where we are compared to a bunch of other species. So we are living well in a way, but then psychologically, as we abuse, if I may use that word, abuse our mind, like an egocentric or a biased view, narrow-mindedness, then we end up in suffering. It may be for the sake of ego to prevail, but it's the lower level of the hierarchy, as Maslow mentioned. I guess I don't know if he said ego as being one, but survival is related to what you want to do, and then social aspect of it are related to each other. But at the end, the highest is the self-realization, which is what I see as the connecting to the heart and prevailing that the heart way, along with the way of how we live in the society. So, using the word and logic, obviously, and some of us are better in doing it than others. Some are more manipulative than others. Some are not as intellectual, but more of ignorant, if I may say so. But any situation, we all came from the same root of heart. the way of the universe prevailing us to be alive. When we're born, when we're alive, and when we die, it doesn't change. So the root is going to be the same. Okay, AI may do something with the longevity, which I see as a potential problem, because if we live for long, I wonder what Putin would do. Or if I'm use Trump as a case, that maybe some people like Trump, but I would say that if you are so occupied in your way of thinking and to lie and do whatever possible to get things done, like a dictator, it is abusing the words and logic, in my view. So we need to be wise, not just following the leaders. And that is up to us, because people are the ones to vote. And we can vote to the right or left or center or whatever way. But hopefully the ones who are voting is wise enough to select the wise and compassionate person who can see things well, not the self-centered, like a dictator, and just not to be related to the power. Okay, in nature there are those, powerful guys who thrive and do well in many species, and that's, I would say, narrow-minded. And we should go beyond that. So if we live forever, that's going to be a big trouble, that we are not humble enough and we pursue something that can cause lots of trouble for the sake of living long or forever. I think at this moment, the sense I have is dying is good, that we do our best, work together instead of working separately, living separately, and see what happens. And that's too siloed, too localized, optimizing the way of life instead of learning, helping each other, and prevailing. So anyway, if you live long, that's such a odd assumption. I don't need to look at it as much, but I just thought to mention that the heart is the laws of the universe, and the AI can bring in some additional element to that. Hopefully, wisdom and compassion come with AI. And I've been testing on the GPT and the Gemini, the Google AI, and see what may come about. And I see interesting potential, but we are the one who make a judgment ultimately, hopefully, until sometime the AI may contribute much more than the current situation. But it's a co-pilot situation, coexisting situation, if we can manage the situation well. So, no mind and no self, and the deep learning, synthesizing information database. So AI may have no mind, but you can provide the objective function for the AI to process. And if so, may all beings be happy, maybe one idea. But what is the priority for humans? There are lots of issues that has to come to overcome or to go beyond where we are, but what we can be. So back to the origin, I started with Jung and Daisetz, and both are communicating about the idea of Zen based upon, at least from Daisetz's point of view, no mind and no self. And Jung may have more psychological, analytical process, but it is good that I see that those two people met and have that discussion going on that book. I think it was published 1947 or something, about the time when I was born. So please view Zen in relation to those two people, but also the principal way of no mind and no self. No mind and no self to bring out the heart into the process instead of just caught up in the mind. That's basically it. Then going back to the Garden of Eden, I often talk about, but then reconstruct, understand the external situation, understand the internal situation, and live better. Let's work on it. That's the way I see it. And not just depend on others. Each of us has the same root. So we are to live according to this basic principle, and if we can relate to such a way and hope that we try to see the idea of may all beings be happy with the wisdom and compassion, that's what I see is feasible if we get onto it. Thank you.